For more, we can bring in Diana Ürge-Vorsatz, the Vice Chair of the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Good morning. Just tell us, what's your view here on this political debate over aircon for all versus long-term climate policies? Is this just addressing the symptoms and not really the root causes?
Thank you very much. It's a very important question. Not only addressing the symptoms, but in fact really aggravating climate change and aggravating even local warming in the cities. Because air conditioning, what it does is actually puts the local indoor heat out on the streets. It makes the urban heat even worse. And also global warming, because cooling is expected to add 25% more electricity demand until 2030 than even data centers, which means that if we only compare to artificial intelligence, this is about 5 times as much. We talk a lot about the energy from artificial intelligence, but not so much from cooling. At the same time, of course, it is very important that we are providing thermal safety to our residents, because heat is killing in Europe. It can kill as much as 40 to 60,000 excess deaths, so people in a hot summer all over Europe. So it is crucial. But I would consider more taking the Swiss approach, which means that we provide access, allow access to the elderly or the vulnerable groups, and otherwise we try to implement measures that in the few really extreme days, such as what we are experiencing now in some countries, and some countries are already over, we'd rather take temporary measures to provide safety, for example, in cooling centers during those days, which happen just a few days about every year. So far, for a while, it will really only hurt us a few days every couple of years. But then we have to take these measures, for example, cooling centers, or also have to accept that perhaps there will be temporary reductions in productivity, and perhaps home officing and other measures can help in these difficult situations.
And I'm not sure if you've seen, but the European Commission is under criticism for turning off the AC for some of its staff and leaving it on for others higher up in buildings. I guess this shows really the wider problem we have across Europe, as you're describing, regarding access.
Exactly. So access to air conditioning is a crucial issue. At the same time, it is also, again, important that to understand that the solution is not universal access to everywhere, everything, because right now, exactly the very reasons why it had to be turned off is because of capacity shortages. And if they suddenly try to provide access to everyone, that means that our capacities won't be able to survive, because we are now already jeopardizing the success of the green energy transition, because what we see is that we are now adding more energy demand that we are able to provide with new sources of renewable power, despite our unexpected success with the deployment of renewable energy sources. But certainly, of course, it doesn't mean that the elites of the elites will have to have access and the others don't. So we do have to look at everyone's needs. But again, I do believe that perhaps temporary measures where everyone has a temporary arrangement for these few days to get by and still be able to work, but even more to be able to stay healthy, is more important than the solution to have full access immediately to everyone to air conditioning. Because the problem is, once you have access to air conditioning, the culture also changes. We have a lot of cultural adaptations to hot days and how we get by in heat, and we would lose all of this if we suddenly have all air conditioners.
Okay, Diana Ürge-Vorsatz, thank you so much for your insights there and for joining us.